another neighborhood, and before that happened, I was kind of in that area. But I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Phil. Hey, Phil.
Hello.
My name is Phil. I just talk loud. My name is Phil, and I'm 25 years old. Guys, I've been my whole life. I'm here from Memphis. All right, and man, I was brought up in a family where both of my parents were there. Both of my parents loved me and were always there for me. When my foot got bigger, they got me new shoes. You know, when my body got bigger, I got new clothes. I never went to bed hungry. I was brought up in a great home. I knew when I went to bed at night, my parents loved me. And guys, I'll tell you this, is that they wanted what was best for me. And so a lot of times, I was told things about Jesus. Y'all been hearing a lot about Jesus this week, haven't you? What else have y'all been hearing about this week?
God looks at the heart.
God looks at the heart, man. I've had these songs stuck in my head every day this week. I don't know about y'all, but that's a good thing. And that's right, though. God looks at your heart. And so, guys, it's very easy that a lot of times we hear a lot of things. What's up?
God loves you?
He does love us. Yes, that's right. We hear a lot of things about Jesus, and it's really interesting. Is I can come up here and tell you about myself, but there's some people here, y'all don't really know me. But I can tell you about myself, and you can tell someone else about me. And kind of, guys, that's kind of how my relationship with Jesus Christ was. Is that I knew some facts about Jesus Christ. I could tell you that Jesus Christ died on the cross. I could quote you this verse that we've been singing about all week. For God so loved the world. Somebody else say it.
That
That he gave his only son. That whoever believes in him. That's right. So, you know, it's really easy. Sometimes we know how to say certain things, but I personally didn't really know the Lord. I was brought up in a home where they took me to church on Sundays when I was a child. But as I got older, I started wanting to do my own thing. And my own thing didn't look like what my parents wanted me to do. And so I began to hang out with some people in the neighborhood who were much older than me. And they were doing some things that were not honoring to God. And I became a part of those things. And I thought I was just trying to fit in at first. And that's where it all started for me, is I was just going to try to fit in and be like them because I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be liked by them. And I thought I really enjoyed that, but looking over that time, I was really just trying to make myself be what they wanted me to be, or what I thought that they wanted me to be. But ultimately, that's not what God wanted me to be. And so,
You didn't want to be anyone?
no, I didn't. I was trying to make myself be what they wanted me to be, but it was ultimately not what God wanted me to be. And so I got involved with some things that ended up really messing my life up. It got a hold of my life for about 5 years. It took me down a road that I never wish I had to walk on, but looking back, I see God was using that for His good. And guys, and I'm going to tell you how this happened. One day, I found myself in a lot of trouble, and someone invited me to come to church. Kind of like, if you're here today, you got invited to come to this, right? Somebody came to your door, maybe a friend sent you a text message or called your mom. Somehow or another, you were invited to come here, right? Well, the same way I was invited to go to church. And when I got invited to go to church, I really didn't want to. I really didn't think church was really a place for a person like me because of the way that I was living. And as I was sitting there in the church, I even kind of felt like a fish out of water. I really didn't feel necessarily like a churchgoer, like the people who were there. But something told me that I was in the right place. And I really did see something different about the people who were there than what I was living and the people that I was hanging out with. And then, as I would continue to go, I ended up. They had a bulletin that they would hand us at church, and they had an event kind of like what we had today, where we gave y'all a meal, and they were offering a meal to have lunch with the pastor. And I thought, hey, I'll go just to have lunch. You know, I really wasn't interested in talking to the pastor, but I was kind of interested in the food. And so I went, and guys, they set me down at a table with a man named Kerry Vaughn. And I'm gonna tell you something about this man, guys. Is that he was different than any other man I've ever seen. The brother had a love for Jesus, and it was bursting forth from him like I've never seen in another person. I'm talking about in a way like I felt the love of God coming out of this man towards me. And he began to share with me the gospel. Guys, remember what we said, that God doesn't look on the outside, but He looks on the inside. And he was telling me that my sin had separated me from a holy God. And I realized, not just because I had heard some things before, but for the first time I really saw the things that I were doing offended a holy God, and I deserved to go to hell. I didn't deserve to go to be with God in heaven. I didn't deserve that. But he told me that God loved me so much that he sent his son, Jesus Christ, to die on a cross for my sins. And the Bible says that God made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, that in him we could become the righteousness of God. And when he told me that, it was like my heart melted. It was like, if this is not, if I can't find life in him, I came to the end of myself. I knew that there was no hope for me. And guys, I want to encourage you. And immediately after that, I cried out right there in that lunchroom for God to save me. I was in a classroom on the other side of the church. You guys, this doesn't have to happen in a classroom, but it's not something I just did one time. But it's something that I surrendered at that point, and God has continually kept me since then, and he's done a work in me, guys. He totally changed my heart. We talked about, Don mentioned yesterday when he was talking about how our hearts are desperately sick, and then he talked about how we need a new heart spiritually. And the Bible talks about that when Jesus is having a conversation with Nicodemus in John chapter 3. And he says, you must be born again. And guys, I want to tell you, each one of you are in very similar situations. I don't know what your home life is like or who's your friends you're hanging out with. But guys, the Bible says it's very clear where our hearts are spiritually. And God's looking at our hearts. And I want to encourage you that if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, I'm not asking you to quote me John 3:16. I'm not asking you to tell me that Jesus is God and to tell me the fact that he died on the cross. But I'm talking about just like, how many people here, raise your hand if you had a conversation with your parents today? Or a brother or sister? All right, that's pretty much everybody here, right? So, let me ask you a question. If you live with your mom or your dad, and you live in the same house, but yet you never have a conversation with them ever. You haven't talked to them in 3 months, but you're just kind of doing life in there. How would you say your relationship is with your parents?
Bad.
That's bad, right? So guys, what we're talking about here, this whole thing this week is talking about a relationship with Jesus. Guys, I'm not talking about y'all start coming to church on Sunday. That's great. The overflow of that relationship with Jesus is going to be desired to be around these people, because remember how I told you when I first walked into the church and I felt so awkward, like a fish out of water. But when God gave me that new heart, when I surrendered my life to him, he gave me a love for his people, and even a love for others, people who I can't even talk to. Like when we come here and there's people who don't even speak English, and God's given me a love for them. He's totally changed my heart. Those things that I used to desire to do, I don't no longer desire to do those. They might rise up in me occasionally, but I know that the Bible says that in his presence is the fullness of joy, and he's given me a joy and a peace that I've never experienced before. And guys, that's what we want to share with you. That's what this whole week has been about. This is not for you guys to have a good time, although we really desire for y'all to have a good time. Ultimately, guys, we want to see y'all have a relationship with Jesus Christ. And it starts in you. That's not something your mama can do for you, your daddy can't do that for you, your brother. You can be brought up in a very good home just like I was, and still not have a relationship with Jesus. And so if that's you today, and you say, man, I don't think I have a relationship with Jesus, but I want a relationship with Jesus, please talk to one of the leaders here. Please come up to me, or Mr. Don, or Ben, or Mr. Josh, or any of the ladies here, Miss Jana, or Joy, or Amanda. All these people will be more than happy to talk to you. Guys, I just really want to encourage you that, guys, I never thought that this could work for me. And it's not something that I just did that worked, but I doubted so often that I could ever change my life. And here's the thing, I couldn't change my life. But God changed my life. He gave me a new heart with that new nature. And that's what we want to see each one of y'all have. So,
Amen. All right.